For the first time in 20 years, a Detroit Pistons player has earned a spot on the NBA All-Defensive Team. Not since Ben Wallace in 2006 has a Pistons player received this honor. And Friday night, Azar Thompson was named to the 2026 NBA All-Defensive First Team. Hermdo, that's pretty exciting. I know the season ended on a bad note, but that says a lot for this team. How you feeling about this, the way this Game 7 went?
I feel honestly, I'm happy for Asar. Don't get me wrong. I'm very pleased with the progress he's made in the last couple of years. But this Game 7 was a real punch in the gut. It was a total collapse. Are we live?
No, we're not live.
Oh, okay. But yeah, it was a total collapse, and didn't mean to interrupt. But yeah,
No, it's okay.
Talk about Cade Cunningham. He's carried the offense all postseason. Cade's been a machine all offseason, or all during the postseason. And then Game 7, he just, he was held 16 points below his playoff average. He finished with 13 points on 5 of 6 shooting. He admitted after the game that game sucked. It reminded me of last year losing on home court to the Knicks, and that was just kind of one of those things. Cade was just totally kept in check. Same thing, with Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen, controlling the glass in the interior. They outscored the Pistons 58-34 in the paint, and Jalen Duren was again useless. So it's kind of like the Jalen Duren, kind of you don't know what you're getting from Jalen Duren. I'm getting tired of this routine. It's like the Incredible Hulk Bruce Banner thing. What are we going to get? Like some skinny nerdy guy or a big powerful beast that can run the game and just fill in and be a monster at the glass and whatnot, and do the pick and roll and what have you, and just be a real facilitator. But it's
we said that was going to be the key to Game 7 was what Duren can do, and if Duren doesn't show up, the game's over. If he shows up, then we know we have a fighting chance, because that's what the offense is predicated on. So, and the defense. And yeah, it was kind of underwhelming. And sad thing is, it was just a blowout. Like, it was an ugly game. It was just, they couldn't do it anymore. They're not. No. It showed that they're not built for the postseason. And then it was a special little fun run. But I hate to say it, but and not to elevate the Cavs or James Harden, but when a team who's a little bit more serious goes out and gets a guy like James Harden, and we go out and get Kevin Huerter, who couldn't play in the playoffs, that kind of tells you where you're at, right? Cleveland was kind of, not to say going all in, but there's already speculation that Donovan Mitchell is going to be out of there, and that the team is going to just kind of be based around Jarrett Allen. So yeah, it's the NBA is going to continue to even itself out. Right now we got Wemby versus SGA, and that's looking like probably better than the finals.
Mm-hmm.
New York is just taking care of Cleveland, which is what they wanted and why they wanted Cleveland, right?
Yeah.
Nobody wanted Detroit, and New York just didn't match up good with Detroit. So whatever, kudos to them. I hope the Knicks take it to the West, and I'm sure they'll get beat because the West just looks that good.
Oh, yeah. I mean, whoever comes out of the West, I mean, they'll be able to handle their business. I mean, the Knicks, it was just, I would have loved to see the Knicks in the third round, because then I think you're pretty much punching your ticket to the finals. But I didn't want to play the Spurs. I didn't want to play the Thunder. It's just one of those things. But just one more quick thing, on this Game 7, we saw the Cavalier. And back to your point about how, the Cavaliers seem to be a little more serious. They're a little more seasoned. They went out and got the James Harden. They seem to be like, they took their free agency period pretty seriously and whatnot. But, the Pistons, they hung around early, but Cleveland blew the game wide open with a big, third quarter run. The Pistons were like 10 behind late in the second. You think, oh, maybe they can kind of get back, but they were like 17 down at halftime, and you kind of figuring, I think the biggest lead any team has overcome in the NBA playoffs in history was 15 points. But so Pistons, you just kind of knew, but you see, like,
you did,
and Donovan Mitchell,
Cade Cunningham was pretty much shut down.
Yeah, he was done. He was cooked. It was uncharacteristic of Cade. He's been on fire this whole postseason. But you see, like, the difference. Donovan Mitchell scored 50. That was 26 points in the third. And Duncan Robinson, couldn't get hot enough to match Cleveland's 0.6% shooting from the field. It was just bad. I just thought, just fundamentally the team just couldn't get it was domination by Cleveland at home.
Yep.
Cleveland comes into your house, punches you in the face. You get beat by, you don't even score 100 points, you get beat by 30. It's just a disaster, but it just clearly shows, and some people, there's a lot of speculation when Trajan didn't do any moves at the trade deadline. And some people were just like, we don't need it. We don't. I think we even said, like, maybe I mentioned something about like how the Detroit probably doesn't really need any free agency help or whatever, but clearly, they needed somebody in there.
They needed shooters, man.
They needed shooters,
just,
yeah.
I mean, whether you cut it up however you want, but again, at that time, Jalen Duren's averaging 23 points a game, so it really doesn't, it's a different team. Right. And we talked about that in our last episode where you have one Pistons team who is completely dominant right across the board. Everybody's contributing. The energy's high. The defense is great. Yeah. And then you have a team that just looks completely lost. Like it's just on or off. There's no in between with this team. No. So unfortunately, when you're watching a game where they're down 10, 15 points, you go, that's that team. I already know where this is going. They're not a come from behind claw team. They either punch you in the face and get it out the gate or the game's lost. So
yeah,
we'll see though. You talked about, or we were talking about free agency. It got me thinking about this game wasn't even over and people were posting trade ideas for next season. And Jason, he was playing 2K and he already had the Pistons pulled up and got Trey Murphy traded to the Pistons and Michael Porter Jr. traded to the Pistons. Right. So like, everybody, I think, is eager with this Pistons team. They just jump back on and see what their offseason looks like. They have money. I don't know if you watched Trajan Langdon's press conference, but it was a little Brad Holmes-like, quiet, hard, kind of didn't give the reporters what they wanted.
No.
Right? Very methodical on all of his responses.
Yeah.
So it gets me to think, is this guy going to try to outsmart himself this offseason, or is he just going to do the right things and just, kind of swing for the fences because the window's wide open?
Yeah. I think the window's wide open there, but, just you see kind of Brad Holmes, like he took all those risks for so long and then the Lions kind of, started falling apart a little bit and he had to put his serious hat on and he can't be messing around in the draft making these goofy trades. He's got to make solid trades. He's got to make good draft picks. You got to draft for need. You can't fuck around. So I hope, I think, what Detroit needs right now. And I got something prepared for this, but we could talk about, they're going to need like a secondary creator. Obviously that's been a big glaring issue. We thought Duren could be that guy, but he's just not really. I mean, in the big times when you really need him, when you need like him to show up, like he had a couple double doubles in these series, but he's so inconsistent. They really need a reliable second star. Obviously, I don't know who that would be. We can talk about that in a minute, but they also need, more reliable spacing. The role players are inconsistent. They need like athletic two-way wings. They can hit the corner threes under pressure without getting played off the floor defensively. And also they need, front court depth and versatility. Duren is a physical force, but he struggles against bigger front courts like Cleveland's, especially Cleveland's. Detroit's defense collapsed. They need to stretch big men who could pull opposing centers out of the paint and provide a different look offensively. So they got their work cut out for them. So, and we got some names here. I pulled up some names like Lauri Markkanen. He was rumored to the Pistons. They would have had to give up like the farm. I think it was like 3 firsts and Jaden Ivey last time we were talking about this or something. But the Jazz recently got Jaren Jackson Jr. to pair with Markkanen. But so I'm thinking that they might want to invest in him long term. And I think they're going to be like they possibly could be contenders. But he's the exact kind of stretch for the Pistons need to pair with Duren. I mean, the spacing totally changes with him on the team. And I think it really unlocks Jaren Duren, gives him a lot more, ability out there, a lot more options out there. I think that would be pretty exciting. And then another name we got is Kawhi Leonard. He's entering the final year of his contract, making $50.3 million. The Clippers potentially looking to pivot, hit the reset button. There's growing speculation that Detroit could use the draft capital to make a blockbuster trade for the superstar forward to instantly elevate them to championship favorites. I think Kawhi would be a great addition to this team. Don't get me wrong. I mean, some of these guys out there obviously you're going to want. That's pretty much a no-brainer to me, either him or Markkanen, obviously. But, I think, Leonard would, slot right in with this team. I'm not sure, what the Clippers' plans are or whatnot, if they're closer to a rebuild, possibly. But, if they can't land, Kawhi or Markkanen, but they could ask about like Michael Porter Jr., Trey Murphy III, or Tyler Harrow. but maybe like under the radar guys like Quentin Grimes who provide the really two-way wing play Detroit lacked against Cleveland. So, yeah, I mean, they got options right now. It's an exciting time, a lot of speculation. But, the thing is, we talked about, Trajan Langdon compared to like Brad Holmes. I think the Trajan Langdon quiet free agency period, the quiet deadline, I think that was kind of a sign of the whole smartest guy in the room thing kind of bleeding in a little bit. And we saw that with Brad Holmes last couple of years. He took it seriously this year, but Brad Holmes he started kind of getting high in his own supply a little bit, started kind of believing the hype, started, we blew a lot of smoke up his ass, and it kind of showed like, yeah, this guy thinks he's like king shit, but it's like, dude,
you called it, little fart huffing, right?
Yeah, a little bit fart huffing. We talk about just like, but we saw that we saw that a little bit with Brad Holmes, and I think Trajan got a little taste of that because he probably feeling pretty good because he turned around an absolute dumpster fire Pistons team and made them playoff contenders in like a year.
Yeah,
but
which not easy to do.
No, it's extremely difficult to do, especially for a team like Detroit that is not a free agency destination. A team like Detroit that is, I don't want to have like, I'm not, huge into the whole Detroit versus everybody thing, but the league does not like the Pistons. They do not want to see a team from Detroit win the championship. But a team like that, it's hard to be successful in Detroit because nobody gave a fuck about the Pistons. They were irrelevant for like 15 years. But yeah, so, I mean, I respect Trajan Langdon. I trust him to get this done. I'm not saying anybody's got to get fired, but we gotta get those wings in here. We got to get that front court built up. We got to get a secondary scorer, another big facilitator. He needs a true number 2 for Cade because Cade, I'm sure Cade, everything I hear from Cade, everything I see from Cade seems like he really loves playing here. And now that he's had a taste of success, I'm sure he's getting hungry to get to that next level. I don't want to, because for a while there, I'm just thinking like, when they were losing like 28 games in a row, I'm just like, oh God, how long is Cade going to stick around? And it was just like,
well, and you'd think after this season, Hermdo, that there's players out there that are going, okay, I want to go play with Cade.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, especially
the 04 Pistons did not have. I mean, they had Chauncey, but Chauncey didn't have the first round draft pick, youth. Like that team was unique.
Yeah,
this is the first time since Isaiah that we've had a young first round pick who we're building around that people are like, yeah, let me go play with him. He's an all-star.
Yeah.
Although it's not a free agency destination based on it being Detroit, there are players out there motivated to go pair up with Cade because you got to face it, man. The NBA has only so many good scorers right now.
Yeah.
The roster is full in Oklahoma with SGA. I would say the big shooter in New York and Jalen Brunson, again, that roster's pretty well constructed. I don't see too many of those guys leaving. They've made a lot of investments. So if you want to get in on the early development of something that's a perennial winner,
yeah,
Detroit is a spot based because of Cade.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that offseason pairs out and who was sitting there on their couch going, I think I want to play on that team. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, Pistons, the Pistons for a long time. When's the last time, you could say the Pistons were like a sexy option for like a big name free agent? Yeah. It's been a very long time. Pistons, we both lived it. We know what it was like, after kind of the magic ended and the band kind of broke apart in the late 2000s. It was just, we remember what it was like, but the Pistons, they're looking good now. And I think, I think they're going to be able to attract some good talent, and I think Trajan's the man. I think, he's learning, this is a lesson, and I'm not happy the Pistons lost. Of course not. But this is a lesson. This is kind of a slap across the face for Trajan and be like, okay, you can't be getting cute. You can't be doing the smartest guy in the room routine. You're early in the rebuild. Your rebuild is like a year ahead of schedule. You know what you need to do. You kind of got slapped back down to reality a bit. Same thing happened to Brad Holmes. And it's good that at this stage, Trajan hopefully gets humbled and realizes, okay, I got to make some moves out there. I got to be on the phone. I got to make some calls. I got to take care of business.
Well, he's got the money.
He's got the money.
He's got the cap space to do it. He's got the patience of the fans right now, but he still will be pretty well scrutinized by how well he pairs somebody up with Cade. I mean, if they just completely choose to ignore that and they sign Duran to a max extension, and then they kind of just try to piecemeal, no offense to Duncan Robinson, but guys like that, just like, get a guy here and there. It's going to be like, okay, that's a little fart huffing, but if the guy really goes out there and makes a trade, the Duran situation, that's real touch and go right now, so I'm not going to make too big of a statement on that.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know what his ask is right now, but we'll see that when the season ends. Right?
Yeah,
That'll
we'll
be
see.
The big question mark.
Yeah, because if they're going to be
we're
paying,
going to talk about.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I'm just saying, if they're going to be paying Jalen Duran north of $40 million and they're not going to get another facilitator for Cade, like another true number 2, then I'm going to be pretty pissed off. I'll just say that right now.
Yeah.
I'll just say that right now.
That's pretty weak.
Yeah, that's not where you want to be at right now. No.
I agree.
Yeah.
But as we talk about that, right, we're drawing parallels from Trajan Langdon to Brad Holmes. Brad Holmes goes out and declines the Jack Campbell 5th-year option, and they shut that down. Everyone's panicking. They lock him up to a massive 4-year extension. So
4 years. Yep, $81 million. With
$81 million,
$51 million guaranteed, I believe.
That's a lot of money.
Yes.
That speaks volumes of how they think of him and kind of why we moved on from Alex Anzalone. They're picking up the Jack Campbell era of the defense. I think that's clear to see. I haven't heard a single person upset about this. I haven't heard any negative criticism about this. This was expected. Again, I think the money that we're paying Jack Campbell, it'll be just like JMO money, where it's like already by next year or halfway into the continuation before the preseason, we see, oh shit, we got him on the cheap, or we got him relatively fair market, and we didn't overpay. So yeah, I want to shout that out. We can't forget that, because let's face it, man, the Lions news, we're probably going to be tracking a little bit more of that coming up soon. I mean, it's been so heavy Pistons, and the Tigers, you did a couple of videos on that, how trash they are.
Yeah. Ugh.
You're kind of already looking forward to training camp just to skip the baseball season.
Yeah. Honestly, just anything but the Tigers right now. I feel dirty even saying that word. I mean, me and my dad, I bought that just as a quick aside on the Tigers, then we'll get back to Jack Campbell, but it's just like, I bought that Detroit Sports Network subscription, $20 a month to watch the Tigers. I gave these assholes $40 for them to lose like 19 of 20 or whatever the fuck it is now. Another embarrassment last night against Baltimore. I remember, like, me and my dad wanted to watch it, and I was like all kind of nervous. I asked my dad, like, oh, can I, because my dad will watch this team no matter what. He was glued to the TV during the 2003 season. He loves this team, and I love him too, but I can only take so much. But I remember I was nervous about asking my dad, it's like, hey, is it all right if I cancel this? These guys are terrible. He's like, please do. Save yourself some money. So I'm done with it right now. I mean, I'm still going to watch.
That's actually a good point. I wonder how many people canceled their subscription already.
God, I can only imagine. I'm glad I didn't. There's like a $190 package for the whole season. I'm so glad I didn't go that route. I'm so glad. I would have been kicking myself for months. But back to Jack Campbell real quick, and maybe we can talk about how much the Tigers suck, because that's always a fun topic. But right now, like I said, 4 years, $81 million. It was as you brought up earlier. They declined his 5th-year option. They were avoiding a flawed NFL cap rule because the league clumps off-ball linebackers and edge rushing outside linebackers together for options tags. Detroit's 1-year option would have cost an inflated $21.9 million. Instead, Holmes bypassed it to lock him down in a structured long-term deal through the 2030 season. So bravo to Brad Holmes, getting him in there, getting him locked down early. He is now, as of right now, not for long, the second highest paid off-ball linebacker in the league. We got Fred Warner, the 49ers. He makes about $750,000 more than him, average annual value. You got Jack Campbell, the Lions, at number 2. You got Roquan Smith from the Ravens at $20 million, and you got Tremaine Edmonds from the Chicago Bears at $18 million. Playing an inside linebacker for $20 million used to be taboo, so was signing running backs, but we're probably going to do that too. But Campbell earned every cent with the historic 2025 campaign. He became the only player since 2000 to record 160-plus tackles and 5-plus sacks in a single season, earning first-team All-Pro honors. Was decided to reward that production early rather than letting the price tag soar even higher next offseason. So, yeah, I mean, Jack Campbell, he's the man to get it done. He's a Brad Holmes guy. This is his team now. Anzalone, he flew off back to Valhalla, but, It's gonna be the Jack Campbell show from now on. I'm very excited about this guy. I'm so excited we got this deal done, locking these guys up. And when Gibbs gets done, we're gonna have a really solid core locked up long term. The Dew might not like it, but I do. I think you do as well, Mark. But
yeah, and I think I'm starting to understand what to do. There's a couple teams that we both kind of agree on. Like we all can agree that the Tigers suck, right? We all can agree that the Red Wings are trash.
Yes.
We all can agree that the oversight of Trajan Langdon, right? But the one thing the Dew and I can't seem to find common ground on is Brad Holmes. He wants him to fail so bad, but you look at right now, the reigning MVP, Matthew Stafford, and the Rams reached an agreement on a 1-year, $55 million extension. That. Oh my God. He's now has 2 years worth up to $105 million remaining on his deal with the Rams. So he is not going anywhere. I mean, I think he might try to outpace and get Aaron Rodgers to retire before he does. Yeah. I just feel like he's just not going anywhere. So the Rams are the Rams. Yeah. Still can't believe they drafted Ty Simpson. Sorry, but yeah, I look at our Detroit our Detroit Lions, and I look at this contract extension as an absolute no-brainer.
Yeah,
you always say, right, we don't sign running backs, but I feel like that's the next move.
Yeah.
Now Sam Laporta, is he the odd man out? I'm not sure. There was all this weird, unnecessary trade speculation during the draft, but to me, I feel like we're just going to get another fair market contract for Gibbs and Laporta. We may go pretty crazy with Gibbs, but I don't know. The Laporta one, I just don't see him wanting to be like the highest paid tight end ever. So.
No, I don't know much. I mean, I'm not sure what the plan is because I haven't heard anything really about Laporta. Granted, I haven't been following the Lions news too much, but I'm not sure what his future with the Lions is. They didn't really grab a tight end in the draft. I don't know what. So they're probably going to keep him. I'm assuming an extension's coming at some point. How much he gets, I don't know. I mean, do you pay him like a top 5? Is he going to be like a top 5 payroll guy? I don't know. But a couple more quick things on Jack Campbell, right now, like what he brings to the team. He's a big guy, 6'5", 245 pounds, moves like a safety. He's got, Blake on the other side of the offense, Blake Miller. But, Campbell's kind of his defensive equivalent. He'll sit in the A-gaps. He'll completely shut down interior rushing lanes. In Campbell's scheme, having a guy who could shed interior guard single-handedly allows the team to play lighter, faster boxes elsewhere. So he fits an absolute need. But, and also it's just like it's freedom for Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph. He has a coverage range to cover deep middle zones. The Lions don't have to keep their safeties locked in deep coverage. Expect to see, Brian Branch playing like a maniac near the line of scrimmage, jumping short routes and blitzing off the edge, knowing Campbell can clean up any mistakes behind him. So that's the kind of guy you're getting long-term in Jack Campbell. And I think what he can do for your team, I think he does make your team better. I'm excited to see, what he does, on this team. It's very exciting. It's very exciting stuff. And, it's a lot of money for an off-ball linebacker, but that's the kind of guy Jack Campbell is, man. And another testament to Brad Holmes' very good drafting. I'll say that much. This is why I defend Brad Holmes.
I was going to say, this is his. I don't want to say. I'm not even going to use those words because then I'll end up coming back to this and just deleting it. But let's just say that's the one thing I don't know how you argue against is his drafting.
Yeah.
Even this year's draft, you wanted an edge rusher. He gave you an edge rusher. I found out, and I don't know if you know this, but they were apparently trying to trade to go get Caden Proctor. Apparently that was their goal, was to jump in front of Miami, and they had a trade on with Baltimore, the Ravens, and once Proctor was gone, they pulled it off the table. But, Brad Holmes was still trying to trade, down into the first round, just similar to what people wanted him to do. And they came close to it. And then it almost sounds like, they were dedicated from day one to get that defensive edge rusher for Hutch. So I have a hard time beating the guy up that bad, right? Like, it's easy to beat Scott Harris up. It's easy to beat Iserman up, but leave Brad alone.
Leave him alone. Leave Brad alone.
He never hurt nobody.
He's a sweet boy. But
he's a clean boy.
Yeah, of course, If I know I've been kind of a slappy for Brad Holmes. I think we both have to a certain degree, but it's just this is going to be a big season. I know we say it all the time. Every time we discuss the Lions, big season coming up. If the Lions, I think the Lions will be good. Looking at their schedule, looking at the kind of talent they have, looking at their draft, looking at free agency, it's all very solid, all very workman like. You're not messing around. There's no big risks. I don't really see anybody on this team who I think is really going to be holding us back, provided the Lions stay healthy. That's the thing that I'm concerned with. The Lions' health. That's a big one. And you wonder, what kind of conditioning, what kind of training, what kind of practices are they having? Do they have to switch that around? Do you got to go up to Dan Campbell and be like, hey, you can't be practicing in full pads no more? Something like that. But that's one thing I'm concerned with, the health. But I think if the Lions stay healthy, they could be a 12, 13 win football team. And I'm not going to make any Hermdo guarantees about it, because basically, counting on your team to stay healthy the whole year, especially a team like the Lions. But it's just, if everything goes right, everything goes 100% correctly, the high end, I think, is 12, 13 games. And you know what? They probably would win the division with that, because nobody else in our division, maybe the Bears, but I'm not really scared of anybody in our division right now.
No, I think we're all evenly matched to a certain extent, and I feel like we play well in our division games. I feel like Brad or Dan Campbell coaches well within the division games as well. So to me, it's all going to depend on, though, Hermdo, on what if they decide to lock Gibbs up before they lock up Bijan Robinson, because I feel like as far as fair market value and getting the right contract, that's your right timing. I know everybody was kind of clamoring for more depth and, get a Bosa out here, but I think we're past that.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this roster seems to be pretty solid. Still scared a little bit the uncertainty of Kirby Joseph.
Yeah.
I know people kind of keep looking over that, and then the whole Brian Branch not starting. But if we're healthy, we got a fighting chance to at least get to 10 wins. But if it just becomes injury prone all over again, right? And Terran Arnold is getting penalized all over again. It's like, guys, we're going to be flirting with 8 or 9 wins in a season where we have the easiest schedule.
Yeah, that's true. No, that's absolutely realistic. That's true. It could happen. I think Vegas right now has them penciled in at 10.5, but they favor the over. Looking at the schedule, I got the schedule pulled up, but let's focus a little bit more on Jahmyr Gibbs, because we'll take a look at the schedule in a minute. I just want to, but we talk about this. The Jets just signed Breece Hall. I mentioned this earlier, but they signed him to a 3-year, $45.75 billion extension, $14.5 million annual average value. Days later, the Miami Dolphins shattered the ceiling by giving Devon Achane a massive 4-year, $64 million deal at $60 million annual average value, because Gibbs has been vastly more productive and durable than both Hall and Achane, ranking up over 5,000 yards from scrimmage and 49 combined touchdowns over 3 seasons. His representatives have all the leverage. Furthermore, Bijan Robinson is eligible for an extension with the Falcons. Insiders note that Brad Holmes desperately wants to extend Gibbs before Atlanta pays Robinson, ensuring the Lions have to pay a potential historic contract structure. But what the numbers could look like, I don't want to ask you about this, Mark, but the valuation, this is from Zachary Perelez. He's begun projecting the final framework of the deal that they want to get done before training camp and before Bijan gets signed. But expect, most league sources it's a 4-year extension worth roughly $76 million to $84 million. So in the $19 to $21 million range. I don't know what the guarantees would be. Probably around $50 million. So you're going to be paying Jahmyr Gibbs, Jack Campbell money. And as we talked about before, normally you're never going to pay an off-ball linebacker $20 million a year. But are you ready to pay Jahmyr Gibbs $20 million a year?
I am, for the simple fact of when you're locking him up. If you're locking him up before the Falcons lock Bijan up, after that deal's done, this deal's going to look relatively not as impactful, right? Very similar to when we got Jared Goff, and then a year later, he's far from the highest paid quarterback, right? Where it looks like, okay, yeah, it kind of doesn't. It's not that shock value anymore. So for me, it's the timing of when you do your deal, and as long as they do this before Bijan, I think the deal is going to make sense and look really, I don't want to say cheap. It's not going to look cheap, but look like the right contract a year and a half in, when you start seeing other names getting questionable sums of money and you're going, wow, okay, that looks like a good deal right now. Like, we don't even have to think twice about that because he's a once in a generational running back talent that we haven't had since the Barry Sanders day. I'm not saying he's Barry Sanders.
No.
I'm just saying we haven't had somebody in that position at a certain age that we drafted that just has the ceiling and the excitement and the burst and the speed and the weapon and the potential, right? We'll have him in his prime. We'll continue to have him in his prime. So it's again, we're not overpaying for somebody else's trophy.
Yeah.
I'm okay with all that, right? It's again,
Yeah.
if they lock Bijan up and then we follow suit, not Brad Holmes styles.
Yeah.
Again, another thing Brad Holmes does is he gets the contracts done at the right time.
Yes.
His timing is pretty spot on. So
I think,
look for him to do it at the right time,
yeah,
and we'll be okay.
I think we'll hear something on the Jahmyr Gibbs front very soon. But I agree with you. He's a guy. He could be a generational talent. I mean, for what
Mm-hmm.
for what Gibbs is, for what he brings to this team, for what he can do, for the way he elevates the game. Now, I'm interested to see what what the dynamic would be without the Sonic and Knuckles thing going on. Because as we know, Knuckles went to Chicago, but not Chicago, Houston. But
Yeah, Houston.
yeah, without him, like Isaiah Pacheco, what kind of dynamic will that be with Jahmyr Gibbs? That's interesting to see. But I mean, with the additions with Blake Miller on the offensive line now, with they're moving Penei Sewell, like what kind of lanes can they open up? What kind of routes can they open up? I mean, it does help, Jahmyr be the best running back he can be and be able to get out there and make those explosive plays where literally nobody in the NFL can catch this fucking guy. But so I'm excited to see
In a new offense too,
and a new offense,
right?
Drew
This
Petzing.
is
Yes.
a new offense.
Yes.
Yeah, we got a two-headed monster in Petzing and Kafka, or
Yep.
Mike Kafka. And you want to look at how they're going to utilize J-Mo, how they're going to utilize our tight ends, how they're going to make and break Gibbs in the Pacheco situation, just like you highlighted, right? I would imagine it's going to be tailored to all the strengths of St. Brown, Gibbs. I think Ben Johnson was just doing a nice job of starting to unlock J-Mo. But there's a lot of people sleeping on J-Mo. I mean, we got to remember how an explosive of a little bit more of a durable weapon he is, right?
Mhm.
He's put a little size and strength on. He's not that, skinny little rookie that gets bounced around. So it's going to be interesting. All these guys are still in their prime.
Yeah.
The only questionable situation we have is injuries. And we're
Yeah.
going to beat that up throughout the whole offseason. And it's going to be one of those things of just, how does it look right in the preseason? Right? Where are we going to get into game one and you start seeing, certain people go down for no reason and you're like, oh, here we go again, right? Like, or is it just going to be one of those preseasons where, they don't touch, our starters, and maybe the practices are less intense where they're cracking each other in practice a lot? Because I have heard the Lions practice is pretty intense as far as full,
full contact,
full pads, full contact, just the whole shebang, and how guys are, which I can respect to one extent of, like, you want to practice how you play or play how you practice, but at the cost of guys getting injured, I don't know. That's what they get paid the millions to figure out that balance.
Exactly. When you got 20 guys on the IL, then it's kind of like, maybe we should reconsider some things here.
Yeah.
But
something's wrong.
Yeah, something's up with that. But next season, lots made about the Lions' schedule since they crapped their pants late in the season. Last season they finished in last place, so they got a last place schedule. But here we go. I tell you what we got. It's the new schedule for next season, and we got some predictions. I mean, as far as like betting odds and whatnot, at least in a few of them. But week one, it's a home opener against the New Orleans Saints. The early odds, Lions are giving 7 points, giving a touchdown to the Saints. I gotta say, early on, I gotta say it's probably pretty likely. I mean, the way they're predicting this kind of stuff. I mean, now Google right here, it's the research I'm doing. They're saying 12-5. So, but just looking at these odds right here, I'll give you. Yeah, what do you make? I mean, what do you think about game one? How do you like the Lions versus the Saints?
I mean, Lions are at home. It's a home opener,
Yeah,
right? It is. It's a 1 o'clock game. I think we play really good in these. First of all, we've got 8 1 o'clock games again. So
yeah,
as much as it was nice to be in the limelight, it's going to kind of be nice to just go to work, right?
yeah,
And these games are just going to have a little less pizzazz around them, a little just stay out of the way and win ball games. But
yeah.
okay, back to this game. You've got Saints Lions. I think this is the Lions win.
Hmm.
You're at home. The Saints are a very respectable team, but a team that if you're playing at home during the opener, there's no chance you should lose this game
No.
because we're as I shoot myself in the leg. After that, we are playing the Lions. We're playing the Bills right at home
Yeah.
on prime time,
Week 2
8:15
at
p.m.
at Bills, and they are definitely
That's
underdogs in prime time.
Yep, they are, and I think that's an easily pencil that in as a loss.
Yeah. Thursday
Shout
night
out to Wayne
football.
and his Bills. You'll
Yeah.
you'll take care of business at home. Yeah, I don't think you're going to let us beat you this or this early in the season.
No, no, no. Yeah, well, Bills, they do have a new coach now. Lots
Yeah,
of tumult. Well, last season, whatnot, with their coach getting fired and they're bringing in a new staff and whatnot. There's a lot of questions about like what's going on with Josh Allen. They could be a little bit of chaos there. Maybe that plays a factor, but I still think the Bills are. I think they got the Lions number. So
yeah.
yeah, I'm going to pencil that in as a loss. But the week 3 New York Jets at home, the New York Aaron Glens with I don't even know who the hell their quarterback is anymore. Is it Geno? Wait, where'd Geno Smith wind up? Is he in Vegas
It's Geno
or
Smith.
that's Geno Smith?
No, he's
Okay,
back to the
okay,
Jets.
he's back with the Jets.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't remember. I think he was in
I
Vegas.
mean,
I'm all
barring
mixed up.
anything crazy, dude, this is a W right here. It's another one
Yeah,
o'clock game. The NFL's giving us a nice little 1 o'clock game to chew on against the shitbag Jets team. So
yeah, that'll be
from a
fun.
team that couldn't, intercept the ball at all,
Mm-mm.
at all. I just don't think, I don't care how good of a draft they had. I don't think they just immediately turn it around that
Yeah,
quick.
they
So
drafted like no secondary
I think
players. Then the first round
zero.
anyway.
And I think the bulk of America is going to call that a win. And then you've got Lions on the road again, another prime time, 8:20 p.m.
Hmm.
This is a Panthers team that showed us at the end of the season that they mean business. They believe in their quarterback. They wanted to get better. I think this is our first road win.
Hmm.
I'll take this one. I think the league is being interesting at going back and forth with these
Yeah.
road games in prime time, but I think that's a win. What do you think? Panthers
I
win?
think so. I think we'll take care of
Or
business against the
Lions?
Panthers. Bryce Young, he's kind of showing out, lately, but still, there's not really anybody. I don't think the Panthers really have the tools. I'm not. I'll just say this: I'm not worried about the Panthers, even though it's an away game. I think Lions will be able to go in there and take care of business. This is not something I'm too concerned about. But then we have Arizona Cardinals, another road game. They are away, and the
Yep.
Lions are giving 8.5 points to the Cardinals as almost double digit favorites. The Cardinals, Kyler Murray, no one knows what's going on with that guy. Is he? I don't remember what the fuck's going on with him, but
Kyler Murray is a Viking.
oh, that's right, Jesus. I remember
Yeah, you got Jacoby Brissett.
they got Jacoby Brissett. That's right, that's right. I'm sorry, Mark,
Hmm.
but yeah, I just shows how much I pay attention. But I'm not really Arizona Cardinals fan. You have to forgive me, but yeah, well, Jacoby Brissett, not somebody I'm really concerned
Nobody
with.
is.
So yeah, I think Lions take care of business in Arizona. Then week 6, we got a bye week, early season breather. Then we're at home against the
Hmm.
Green Bay Packers, which is our first divisional game. It's a big NFC
Yep.
North clash against our division rivals. And, Green Bay, we had their number for a couple seasons there, but, with like this, some of the moves they've been making. But I got to believe, that their coach is probably their seat's getting a little hot. So I think they might be a little desperate. I don't know. I mean, with Jordan Love, I think he's one of
Hmm.
those guys that can hurt you. But I think it'll be a tight game. I think it'll be a tight game. I'm not really sure. They don't get really. I got to believe. that the Lions got the tools to take care of business against the Packers.
This one could play out in a certain way because, we're coming off a bye week. The Packers are going to be wanting to dominate the NFC North right now, right? With the Vikings questionable, the Bears having the hardest schedule, and us trying to regain the throne. This could be one of those Packers games that they beat us at the very end,
Yeah.
right? And it just sets a sour taste in our mouth because the season ends with the Packers and us playing in Lambeau, which we're capable of winning in. So I could see that game meaning something. And if we're gonna do anything with one opponent and split, it'll probably be with Green Bay, like it always is.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I think
as much as a homer I am of this one, this could be a loss.
This could be a loss. I think we will split with Green Bay. I have a feeling that we might take it in week 7, but I do think that week 18, I think the Packers will have our number. I think the Lions will probably have some injuries, knowing the Lions. And I think week 18 is one of the ones they lose, but and that's going to probably suck because the playoff seeding and whatnot. But yeah, I do think we're going to be splitting with the Green Bay Packers.
This one will be interesting to see. And then you've got, following up another division, you have Vikings, Lions, Vikings in Detroit, 1:00 game. To me, the way I look at Minnesota, they didn't get any scarier or better, in my opinion. They didn't solidify themselves with a quarterback like JJ or Kyler Murray. So I think we win this one at home, puts us on the road in Miami. Miami sold the farm. They got rid of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I think this.
Yeah. Absolutely. So we got, the only guaranteed losses, let's just say, obviously Buffalo Bills there, but I think the other loss, it will, I do think they're going to lose. I'll just put one Green Bay game in there. So we got 2 definite losses, the Vikings, the Dolphins, I'm not concerned about, but we got the New England Patriots with Mike
we're
Vrabel.
6-2 before we go out overseas to play the Patriots, right?
Yeah.
So we're looking at 6-2 right now. Let's say lost to the Vikings, or lost to the Packers, lost to the Bills.
Yeah, I think the Patriots, they're a scary looking team. Super Bowl contending team. Mike Vrabel's got this team firing on all cylinders when he's not too busy fucking women besides his wife. But yeah, I think this is another loss.
We're 6-3 with this game.
Yeah, they'll be 6-3 after this one. Then the Buccaneers. I'm not sure what's going on with Tampa, but
they got some of our cast-offs. They got some of the Bears cast-offs. But Tampa's one of those fun teams I like to play, but we're playing them at home, right?
Yeah.
I feel like this is a win. I think this puts us right at 7-3 before we play the Bears.
Yeah, so we're looking at 7-3 right now. Then we're going. Chicago is coming here for Thanksgiving, traditional 1 p.m. holiday game, typical Lions Thanksgiving game. Bears might give you a little bit of trouble. We might split with the Bears too. I don't know. You gotta watch out for their metrosexual quarterback. But yeah, there might be. But I'm gonna say we'll be. I think we'll be. 8-3. I think. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm paying attention.
Yeah.
Then we got the Atlanta Falcons. With the winnable dome.
We're in Atlanta.
Away in Atlanta with Bijan Robinson. The other guy, Jahmyr Gibbs, arch rival. But yeah, I think that's pretty much a winnable game. I mean, you got like what's their the quarterback situation there is a little bit odd. They got Michael Penix waiting in the wings, and they got what's his name? Michigan State guy. Fucking.
Oh, Cousins is gone.
Cousins
went to he went to blah 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 Vegas.
Okay, Kirk
Vegas
Cousins
Raiders.
in Vegas. Okay, I wasn't sure what was going on. I don't pay attention to around the league. You got to forgive me, but I don't know where Kyler Murray is. I don't know where Geno Smith is. I don't know where anybody is. But
you got Tua Tagliavola, and you have whatchamacall. You just said his name.
Michael
Penix Jr.
That's where Tua wound
Tua
up. Okay.
and Michael Penix.
Tua, okay. I remember Tua and Kyler both left their teams. I couldn't remember where they wound up, but Tua, the poor guy's brain is half jello, but yeah, I think we'll take
that's a winnable game on the road.
That's a winnable game. So then we got the Tennessee Titans out of division, last place matchup. We're playing them at home. I'm not worried about that one either. Yeah. But then we got Vikings again. We're going to be at Minnesota Sunday Night Football, crucial late season road test. I'm looking at the schedule. It's just Man, I don't know how you look at the schedule and you don't think there's at least 12 wins here. Honestly, at the very least. I mean, you're thinking,
Agree. But
I
you,
mean,
Hermdo, you're looking at these teams right now thinking about how they ended the season, right?
yeah,
And yes, the Titans are not on the up and up right now.
no,
They made another head coaching decision, but you have a whole brand new New York Giants team that had a really good roster,
yeah, they got
got rid
John
of their
Harbaugh.
coach, brought in John Harbaugh. So that's a team. When we're playing the Giants in prime time, you don't know which Giants team we're playing.
Yeah,
And like I said, with the Buccaneers or the Patriots, right? Some of these teams could beat us, but then I agree. I mean, we're supposed to get the easiest schedule, right? Obviously,
yeah,
and then you wonder too. A lot of it's going to be how our division falls. That's
yeah,
how it always is. The NFC North is a strong division, so it's not like we're not like the NFC South where as long as you win 8 games, you're guaranteed to win the division.
hmm,
This is going to be to see how our opponents lie out. The Vikings look on paper like they're going to take a step back, but
hmm,
we could be wrong.
yeah,
I think the Bears are going to be challenged very physically. I think they're going to take a large step back, but that's a true test to they're a young team,
yeah,
right? And then you look at the Lions, and it really speaks to it should be a Detroit and Green Bay ran NFC North again
hmm,
this year. But the Packers, man, like you said, this coach could be on the hot seat
yeah.
because
Matt LaFleur.
they've been, Matt LaFleur, they've been at this, spot for quite a while.
Yeah,
They let us dethrone them,
hmm,
and this could be a make it or break it year for him.
yeah.
So,
That adds a factor
but
to
I
it.
agree. I still think this is a 12-win season if
Yeah,
healthy, right? If healthy. Um,
I gotta. I only see them maybe like 2, maybe 3 guaranteed losses because week 2, maybe I don't know because you got the Giants are a wild card because they got new coaching staff and whatnot. Then you got the Patriots. I think that's going to be a loss. I think if we're going to split with anybody, I think divisionally will probably be. Well, we might split with the Bears. I don't know, but taking a look
okay.
at this, but Buffalo, it's a week 2 Thursday night football. Shortly traveling to Orchard Park into a brand new stadium environment. Jared Goff protecting him against Buffalo's front. That's going to be a big test for Blake Miller. I want to pay close attention to Blake Miller in that game and see if what kind of guy Brad Holmes picked up for us. And then we got week 17 and 18 in Chicago. Lions. They got the finishing season with back-to-back road games in the freezing elements at Soldier Field and Lambeau. I heard that Lambeau they're going to be out. Not Lambeau. I'm sorry. Green Bay will never leave Lambeau, but Chicago
No.
is leaving Soldier Field and moving into the suburbs. They're moving out of Chicago proper. But
Yep.
these, this is going to be division deciding games in the cold elements, and that could be very tough. I think they could lose. I think they're definitely going to lose one of those games. I think they're definitely going to split with either Green Bay or Chicago. Minnesota, not so much, but I think we're going to have probably maybe a 4-2 division record this year, which is maybe being a little too hopeful, but yeah, but the Lions will get to play, the other last place finishers. They're going to, the Titans, the Giants. Granted, the Giants could be different. The Cardinals, them as well. They're projected by DraftKings to be an underdog in all 17 of their games this season, making week 5 a prime must-win opportunity on the road. So, yeah. But, yeah, I mean, you got to factor a couple
Well,
games
let's
in there.
look in parallel.
Yeah.
I was going to say, let's look in parallel to who the Bears are playing. I mean, they're starting off with the Panthers and the Vikings, but dude, they're going to have to hit the Eagles. They're going to have to hit the
Yeah.
Patriots, the Seahawks.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have to hit a team like the Jaguars that'll be out to prove something in their division. They still
Yep.
have to play the Bills too. So you look at their season, and there's some pretty gauntlet teams there. Like they're playing the Eagles in prime time, right?
Shit.
Right, and they're playing the Seahawks in prime time.
Yeah.
So these are games that are going to be kind of anchored on different parts of the season where, that's going to set the tone for the next couple of games after you play the Eagles in prime time. Then you got to march to a beat of Seattle Super Bowl and then play the Bucks, the Saints, and then us.
Mm-hmm.
So you, that's why I'm saying I'm really wondering how this division lays out. I look at Minnesota's schedule. Their schedule looks to be pretty balanced. Like,
Yeah.
again, they're playing the Bills, they're playing the 49ers, the Patriots, but dude, they've got, okay, no, never mind. That's a Ravens preseason game.
Yeah.
But it should make for a really good year, I think.
Yeah.
Again, I know we're Brad Holmes slackies, but we'll see. We're not playing the Cowboys, thank God.
No.
We always get screwed over in that game. We're not
Oh.
playing the Rams, but the Green Bay Packers are. They're playing they're playing the Cowboys, they're playing the Patriots, they're playing the Rams. They're going to have some serious teams, trying to kill their momentum as
Absolutely.
they're trying to win the division.
Yeah. So I mean, Chicago's got the work cut out for them. But I'm feeling good about this schedule. I think, it's going to be a 12-13. Like I said, I'll reiterate that. I'm not going to make any guarantees because I'm scared to make guarantees now. But it's going to be like 12, 13 wins. At the low end, probably 11 wins. But I mean, they'll be competitive in their division. The last two games against Chicago and Green Bay, there's going to be very pivotal. They could lose those games. That could be a problem if we're talking divisional, title and what have you. But yeah, other than that, I'm not really too concerned about this other game. Some people think, maybe Miami. There might be some of those games where it's just like some trap games there. Like maybe Miami could be a trap game, or maybe the Vikings could be a trap game in prime time. US Bank Stadium is kind of a house of horrors in prime time. How loud it gets in there, but yeah, we'll see.
Well,
we'll
the
see
Vikings are such a question mark with their quarterback, right? You
that's
know
true.
what you're getting out of Jordan Love in Green Bay.
Yeah,
but you don't know what you're getting out of the Vikings. And their defense is pretty solid, and they have Justin Jefferson. But at the end of the day, they were the scariest when they had what's his face, Sam Darnold. I mean, There's no quarterback. I can't believe I'm saying this, but there's no quarterback on their roster that can replicate what Sam Darnold did.
No.
And then Caleb Williams as a whole, he's another coin flip. You don't know. That defense has been picked apart. A lot of guys left. You don't know how their weapons are going to look with Caleb Williams. There's a whole nother year of tape on him at a higher level to scheme against. Ben Johnson now has a whole year. Again, they're seeing how he's doing what he's doing with certain players.
Yeah.
So that kind of love story is going to die out quickly, or just level set. But it's no different with Dan Campbell, right? The fourth down shit. I don't want to see a ton of that. I don't want to be so predictable when it comes to that. I don't want to have to see Dan Campbell calling plays 3 games in again. I want to see, Drew Petzig establish a nice offense and respect that. Okay, we hired this guy. We brought him in because he promised to make the best of all the weapons we're giving him. I want to see that fun, explosive offense again. I want to see Jared Goff getting good protection. But I think we had a really good offseason addressing our offensive line, something last year that we highlighted and everybody highlighted was a big oversight, and not understanding Frank Ragnow was going to leave. The surprises this year are there are none so far. Thank God.
Yeah, thank
Knock
God.
on wood. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting training camp, interesting preseason, but don't expect them to make too many big moves. They brought in another wide receiver from Miami, Cedric something Wilson. I
can't remember his name off the top of my head, but I remember hearing about that.
They're just gonna bring in a little bit of competition to see who can win roster battles. Right?
Who's going to fill out?
Tons of cuts.
Who's going to fill out on this spot? Who's going to be practice squad? Who's going to be starting? Who's going to scare who out of a job? That's what most of the free agency positions. But the free agency additions were all about just depth pieces and seeing who can slot in where and whatnot. Just kind of paint by numbers kind of stuff. Excuse me, but yeah, it's like I agree with you totally.
Yeah,
I think the Lions are just going to be on even keel. I don't see anything too crazy happening between now and the start of training camp, except for a Jahmyr Gibbs extension, of course. But I think that's pretty much a done deal. I think we're going to take care of business, get the fair market value for our guys. Like if Bijan gets signed before Jahmyr, I'll be seriously shocked, and I'll probably be a little pissed off. But whatever. But but other than that, I'm looking forward to the season. I'm looking forward to what the Lions can do next season. I know that's a big topic. Hopefully, we can drag Hitch out of his slumber wherever the fuck he is and get him more involved because we love talking that football. But yeah, that's all I got. That's all I got. Oh, what?
I was gonna say you'll get Hitch.
Yeah.
He'll come out of his technodrome,
His hidey
and
hole.
he'll enter the real, his hidey hole, Dimension X that he hides in. He'll come out and he'll be available for his usual one preseason game. That's actually the last time he was on for a full episode, was a preseason. I think it was preseason number 2 game last year.
Yeah.
Outside of that, he called in off of VCR.
Yeah.
That one time in his garage, and his internet didn't work. So
Hitch.
he claims to have a plan to get his internet back, but I did talk to him. He has had I don't want to say a string of bad luck, but just a bunch of unfortunate events falling in one domino after the other. So we typically kid, but he probably the last, I don't know, month or so, he's deservingly been absent. Now the other 9 months, he has no excuse.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But that's all I got, Mark. Just making fun of Hitch a little bit. Maybe he'll call me, or maybe he'll send me a text, and then I won't respond to the text I send, and then I won't hear back from him for about 4 months. But that's just Hitch for you. What are you going to do?
That's on par.
That's on par.
That's on par. Yeah, Hermdo, that's all I got too, buddy.
All righty, sounds good.
I appreciate you hopping on today.
Absolutely.
And we will talk to everybody later.
All right. See you guys later.